Ann Coulter on Fox News is suggesting going back to the pre-civil rights era where there were reading tests required for voting. She was talking about having a literacy test. And this was after Fox News reporter Jesse Waters interviewed a bunch of New Yorkers who couldn't identify Republican presidential candidate Marco Rubio, or they didn't know who the vice president was, whatever. So then Ann Coulter says, well, what if we just have a reading test to be able to vote? Let's take a look at the clip.
What do you guys think about Marco?
Hello.
Marco Rubio.
Never heard of him.
He's a Republican senator out of Florida.
I don't like him.
Wow, there you go. This along with studies showing Americans are poorly informed on government and politics. So is it time to revisit a test for people to be able to vote? Joining us around to debate this, conservative columnist Ann Coulter and executive director of the Accountability Project, Nomiki Kunst. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
All right, Ann, does it bother you that your vote counts as much as somebody that does not know what's going on?
More than I can say. I just think it should be, well, for one thing, a little more difficult to vote. There's nothing unconstitutional about literacy tests. Instead, we have ballots being given in 124 different languages, and I'm pretty sure Senate debates will not be taking place in Urdu.
I'm pretty sure.
So the 1965 Civil Rights Act does say that essentially you can't have a reading test. It says, although these acts helped empower courts to remedy violations of federal voting rights, strict legal standards made it difficult for the Department of Justice to successfully pursue litigation. For example, to win a discrimination lawsuit against a state that maintained a literacy test, the department needs to prove that the rejected voter registration applications of racial minorities were comparable to the accepted applications, to the rejected applications of whites. So this is completely obvious. A literacy test, if you are to have it, needs to effectively not reject more minority voters than it does white voters. And that would defeat the purpose, because that's the main objective of a lot of these literacy tests. And it certainly was when the Civil Rights Act was passed.
Yeah. Ann Coulter is, of course, wrong here, as usual. She continues I don't know. Her entire career is just based on saying things that are outrageous, and she's doing a great job again.
How about a science literacy test to vote, right? You show up and it's, okay, is the Earth 6,000 years old? You answer yes, you're out, because you're so disconnected from the scientific realities of our understanding today that there's no possible way that you would contribute anything good to participating in democracy. Is birth control abortion? You think it is? You're out, because that is absolutely not science, and it's not going to contribute anything to our electorate.
How about this? What if you have to answer some simple questions on the policies of the candidates available to you to be able to vote? What if you need to know what they actually stand for and what they want to accomplish?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be great. I know it's lovely pie in the sky to think that we would expect voters to know more about the candidates they're voting for, but that actually would be a little more complicated to put in place.
It would be probably impossible, but I'm just wishful thinking here.
TPP, fast-track discussions of TPP are happening today. And we're going to talk to Jen Briney from the Congressional Dish podcast next. She's been following all of the minutia of what's going on here. And I don't think you're going to be surprised, Lewis, and our audience, to hear that it is plutocratic, despicable corruption, and we should all be up in arms. At least we're covering it. I know corporate media is not covering it. They don't want to touch this thing with a 10-foot pole unless they absolutely have to. But we're talking about it, and we'll talk about it with Jen Briney next.